So it's been almost 3 months now since I received my Analogue Duo and made my first video on the thing. And that video got a whole lot of negativity, and I wanted to make this video for two reasons. First of all, I wanted to address some of the criticisms of that video and try and explain some things, and also accept that I did in fact do some things wrong. But also I wanted to let you guys know that the Analogue Duo finally got an update and it's good now, ? So let's talk about the first video. One of the things I criticized was that it did not come with an SD card. That is my fault. These things were never supposed to come with an SD card. I thought that they were only because a bunch of review units that I saw YouTubers and social media influencers open up already came with an SD card with some extra stuff caked on. It was never supposed to be a thing that came with the system itself. That's my fault for making that assumption. My controller also had some issues, like it wasn't taking screenshots. I was having a hard time getting back to the home screen. Well, it turns out that's not an analog problem. That was an 8BitDo problem. This controller needed a firmware update in order to properly work with the Analogue Duo, which nobody really advertised. It was something that I had to ask in the My Life in Gaming server, and someone gave me a really obscure link to update it. But I updated the firmware now, and it works perfectly. The one and only downside is that it's now permanently paired to the Duo, and it won't pair to anything else, which is perfectly fine since I can't imagine myself ever actually using it for anything other than the Duo. In case it wasn't obvious in the other video, the first CD that I burned was actually burned incorrectly on my end. I basically burned it as a data CD instead of as an image CD. And again, 100% my fault. When I figured out what I was doing, I burned a whole pile of CDs. All of these are burned PCE games, and they all work just fine now that I know what I'm doing. Once again, not Analogue's fault. And now, without fail, every single CD that I have tried with the Duo works perfectly, even fan translations and homebrew and stuff like that. So, there we go. And now for the Everdrive. Here's the thing. I didn't actually put this in here all the way. That, most of the rest of the video is correct in that there's incompatibilities, but here's the thing. Let me try and show you what was going on. So here's the Everdrive, here's the slot for the Hue card. I put it into about there, because that's as far as it would go. You could see that the casing for the micro SD card there is keeping it from going in. In order to get the Everdrive in there all the way, you have to push it in even farther than that, which I didn't realize until after I made that video. I accept full responsibility for the faults I just listed. Every single one of them was on me. The problem is, even when I do boot into the Everdrive menu on the Analogue Duo, I get this screen. The thing errors out because the Duo won't play it properly. And even more infuriating to me is the fact that a lot of people reported that before they updated their Duos to version 1.1b, they were able to make their Everdrives work. I'm not a programmer or an engineer, but that seems like it would be an easy fix to me, or at least they should have been able to put out a fix within the last 3 months, and I'm going to be really embarrassed if they put out a fix just before or after I post this video, but come on. So the problem is that official Everdrives that are not the Everdrive Pro won't work on the Duo. I did see quite a few people say that they were able to make it work thanks to a hot swap method where they would grab a real cartridge, put it in the system, and then swap it into the flash cart and make it work. So I ended up getting a PC Engine game off of eBay. This was the cheapest one I could find. It's called World Stadium. It's Japanese. Just put it in there. There we go. Pro Paku World Stadium. There we go. And you know what? It's actually a really fun game. I enjoy playing this. This is fun. I'm learning Japanese, so this is a great game for me to play. It helps that there's a lot of words that are identical in English and Japanese. So that's... I don't have my glasses on. Well, anyway. My point is that it works just fine, but even with an official cartridge, I was unable to make it swap over. So this is why I was so mad at them, is because they advertised that this thing would play flash cards, which means it should have played the Everdrive. It plays the Everdrive Pro just fine, and the most frustrating thing is that it plays knockoff Everdrives just fine. If you were to get a cheap one off of AliExpress, not from Crix, it works, but the official one doesn't, and I just feel like that's such a stupid thing. And that was why I was so mad at them in that video. I want to address the fact that I was mad that all I had was an Everdrive and a Duo, and people were like, well, why don't you just use that exact same money to buy a Mister? Well, it's because a Mister can't play Hue cards and it can't play CDs. I like having the option of playing the real thing. It's just that real deal games on the PC Engine are so expensive, it made more economic sense to get an Everdrive so I could play all of them. I like having the option to play the real thing if I owned the real thing, and now I have an incentive to own the real thing. But when I got this Everdrive, we didn't know if the Pro version would work or not, so I went with the base version. My AC just kicked on. So I went with the base version just because I felt it was the safe option, and it turns out this is about the worst option you can get for the Duo. I think I've addressed all of the criticisms of the other video, so let's go ahead and get into the meat and potatoes of why I'm making this. Somebody released a jailbreak for the Analogue Duo. What does that mean? It means that you can now play all of your games off of an SD card. I've loaded up my SD card, the same one that I put on the system to update the firmware. I've loaded it up with all of these games, and these are all Hue card games, and I mean, these are all actually from the US. I also have Japan, I have US and Japan games, so if I want to play some Japanese games, I could play those, including, let's see if I can't find it again, Pro Paku World Stadium, the exact same game that I have here, and all these US games, and you probably saw if you caught a glimpse of it, that includes this, Magical Chase. So this is notoriously the rarest and most expensive game on the PC Engine family. This is not a cheap game, it's not a common game, this is rare, expensive, and now I get to play it. And guess what? It plays perfectly. I should mention that there are still a lot of problems with the Duo. I know one of the biggest ones people complain about is that the system's audio still doesn't sound right, which I'm not an audiophile. I can't compare it to any of the other systems. So I can't vouch for that myself, but it's the big one I've heard. There's also a few compatibility issues still. I think what I'm trying to get at with saying all this is that Analogue has always portrayed themselves as the premier, the best of the best when it comes to FPGA hardware, like trying to replicate everything about the original system. I remember when the Mega SG came out and they were bragging about how they were able to find a glitch on a very obscure game that emulators couldn't replicate, but their system could. And it's just so frustrating for me to see the company that touts itself on such prestigeness just not care about the Duo. They released a system, haven't bothered to say anything about it since then. It has compatibility issues, it has sound issues, there's probably tons of other stuff that we just don't know about yet. And it took somebody else jailbreaking the system for me to even play Hue card games. I mean, I've been able to play CD games just fine, and I have had a lot of fun with these. I got a nice collection here of like 20 games, and I'm sure I'll be putting more on, or probably put them on the SD card now that I've got that. It's just so obvious that they didn't put the same care into it as we've come to expect from the company. Is it my fault for trying to use a flash cart instead of official games? Kind of. Analogue did say that flash cart should work, and they still haven't acknowledged that they don't. Just saying. Was I doing a lot of things incorrectly when I first unboxed the thing and gave my first impression videos? Yes, absolutely I was. I acknowledge that. But I still feel like this is a less than perfect system, and Analogue needs to prioritize fixing it. The Analogue Duo is a perfect system for people like me who don't want to worry about trying to figure out compatibility between Hue cards and CD games and different kinds and regions, and having to worry about busted caps and upscaling issues and RGB palettes. And isn't it just easier to buy a thing that plays the games of the library? I mean, I thought that it would be that simple, and it's annoying that it's taken this long for me to finally get to the point where I can play the games of the library on the system. Now that I can, I am going to enjoy it. I've already been playing a lot of stuff on this, and I think that they're super fun games, and this is a great system to play PC Engine family games. I just wish that Analogue felt the same about their own product. That'll wrap up this video. I really hope I don't get as many dislikes as I did the first time, so If you're interested in more future videos like this, then make sure to subscribe and leave a comment. Do you think that Analogue should continue working on the Analogue Duo to fix it? Do you think that I'm just blowing this out of proportion? If you do have a Duo, what games do you recommend that I play on it now that I can play anything? That brings an end to this video. Thanks everyone for watching, and stay tuned for more. God, I really hope everything recorded. Yes.